Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. I'm here today on this Tuesday evening to show you how to put together a neutral wreath that would be good to display year-round. So I know right now we're kind of in that time. It's, after the holidays, maybe we're not quite ready to put Valentine's Day up, or maybe we don't, decorate for those kind of in-between holidays like Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day, those types of things. Maybe we're kind of just waiting for spring. So I'm going to show you a wreath today that's going to be kind of neutral colors, sort of earth tones. So that's going to be really good for those in-between kind of seasons. I am going to be doing a flower style wreath, but I'm going to be doing a different petal that I haven't shown before. It's not anything that's a new invention or anything like that. I did learn it from another video, but it just makes a little bit different style flower wreath. So I wanted to use that today for today's wreath. So I am going to be working with a 10-inch wreath frame. Sorry, I always get mixed up which way I need to move my move everything around so it's in camera. So it's a 10-inch wreath frame. It does have 4 bars and 5 brackets, so 5 sections. And then I also have in the center here a piece of plastic canvas. This comes in a sheet, usually like a rectangular piece, and I just traced the inside with a marker and cut it out and attached it with zip ties. I am going to be putting petals in the center here, which is why I need this piece of plastic canvas. So you can find this in the embroidery section, near yarn, embroidery floss, that type of thing. And this I'm using today, it's number 7, or I think it's actually 7. I don't even know if it has like a number sign or anything, but it's 7 plastic canvas. So the squares are a little bit smaller than a 5. I usually prefer to use 5 plastic canvas, but my zip ties are pretty thin, so they'll go through this just fine. So you just want to, when you're picking this out, make sure that your zip ties will fit through the squares, which I already know mine will because I've been using the same zip ties for quite some time. These are 6-inch zip ties that I buy on Amazon. I'm also going to be using 3 different colors of mesh, which has been cut at 10 inches, so 10 by 10 inch squares. I used a wood burner and I did that outside in my garage. So I'm going to be using this chocolate brown color. It's a little hard to tell with the, you can kind of see right through right now, but it's this nice rich chocolatey brown color. And then I'm also going to be using an olive green check poly burlap. That's also been cut, everything's been cut at 10 by 10 inch squares with a wood burner. And then I'm also going to be using, I don't actually know what shade this is because this was cut a while ago and I lost the wrapper. I think it's either natural or I'm pretty sure it's natural is the color. It's definitely not cream. It's got a little bit more of a, it's kind of like the color of wheat. So I'm going to be using those 3. I have a bunch of petals pre-made, so this will go pretty quick. I also have my center pre-made. So since we're going with a natural kind of earth tones, I went with a jute rope for my center. So this is half of a styrofoam ball. I cut the styrofoam ball in half with a knife. I believe it was about, it's about a 4-inch ball, I think is what it starts off as, or what the diameter, or whatever you want to call it. So 4 inches. And so I just cut that in half, and then I use this jute rope. This I found at the Dollar Tree. I got this last, it was last spring / summer. I haven't seen it there since, but I know they typically have some kind of rope jute. This is 8 feet. Oops, covering it with my finger. It was 8 feet, and this is how much I had left. Whoops, I'm out of camera again. That's it, just that. So I used basically the whole 8 feet. There are other, I don't know, this is the, it doesn't say on here, but this is the thickest kind that I've seen there. There are ones that are thinner as well, but this is the thick one. I think there's thinner ones where they give you like 9.5 feet or something like that. So I already did this, but basically what I did is I took my half a styrofoam ball. I started right in the middle here. I kind of carved out a little circle where I put a whole bunch of hot glue and the end of my rope along with a floral pin, and then just started winding around and adding more glue. until I got to the end where I secured with another floral pin, some more glue, and then attached a pipe cleaner. So this is what I'm going to use for my center. So this petal that we're going to be doing today is just a little bit different than anything I've shown before. We're actually going to be doing 4 rows of petals, and I'm planning to probably do 10 petals per row. So we'll end up with 40 total petals. The usual style that I've done before, I've used, usually end up using 35. So I think we're going to use 40. So what we're going to be doing is working on bar 2, just like I always have started all of my flowers, but we're going to work on bar 2 and we're going to work at the bracket. So that's where I'm attaching my zip tie. Okay, so I'm on the bracket, I'm on the second bar. So nothing's going on this outside bar. Okay. I've decided that I'm going to do chocolate brown on the outside and then a layer of the green and then the wheat color, the natural color, and then another layer of the green. So that's what I'm going to do. I did mention I have a bunch of petals pre-made, so this should go pretty quick once we get started, but I do of course want to demonstrate what I'm doing for my petals. So this is 10 by 10. I cut it with a wood burning tool. Okay, it's curl side up is how you want to start off. And then of course I have my factory edges. Okay, that's how it comes. And then my cut edges. The reason you want to keep track of where those are is so that all your petals come out uniform. So I always have my factory edges on the top and the bottom and my cut edges on the sides. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a diamond shape, bring one end up to meet the other. So I make a triangle. Now with this style petal, what's going to be important is keeping these 2 edges, so not the top, but the 2 sides of your edges of your triangle here and here. You want those points to stay together to make a nice, neat petal. So if your poly burlap is not exactly a square, or you just want to have that security of keeping those ends together, you can grab some clips. Any kind of clips will do. These are from Dollar Tree, but you could use chip clips or clothespins or really anything. So that's just going to help keep my 2 corners together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm kind of in my an imaginary line from this tip down to here, and I'm just going to gather right along the center there. Okay, so just like that, and then I'm just going to bring these together just like this. Okay, so there's my petal. And then what I want to do before I kind of commit to exactly where I'm grabbing this here is just take a quick look at my edges or my points here and make sure they're even, because I don't want this to be significantly lower than this or anything like that. So that looks pretty good. So then I'm just gonna grab it there, okay, and put that right into my zip tie. Oops, I brought all my zip ties with me. Okay, and tighten that. Okay, so that's how my petal is. Okay, so because this petal takes up more room this way than some of the other petals that I do, I'm only going to be putting one on the bracket and one in between for each of the, at least for the first 3 layers that we're doing. And that's going to give it a nice full look. We don't really have any need to be putting any more than that. So demonstrate that petal again. So again, you have curl side up, you have your factory edges on the top and bottom, cut edges on the side, 10 by 10, okay? Bring it into a diamond and fold it into a triangle shape, okay? Again, if you want to have that extra security of making sure that those edges are going to stay nice and even, you can clip them. And the reason, another reason you know, just because you might not have a perfect 10 by 10 square, but the other thing is if this doesn't line up exactly here at the top, it doesn't matter because you're scrunching to that point. So really you want those tips to be nice and even. You don't care so much about this because it's getting scrunched and pinched. So it doesn't really matter. So as long as you kind of, even if it doesn't line up exactly, you're going to see that a lot on the green. When I show that one, that a lot of those are not exactly 10 by 10. So, but again, you just want to make sure that the point of your petals is nice and even. So then I'm just checking to see, okay, do these look even? Yes, they do. Give that a good pinch, and then come over to my zip tie and put that in. Okay. All right. So as you can see, we're already going to get good coverage with just those, just one on the bracket and one in between. There's no need to be crowding your petals. They're touching here, they're overlapping a tiny bit, but we don't need to have a whole bunch of overlapping petals for this design. Okay, so I'll show this petal fold one more time, and then I'll start working with the petals I've already made to make this layer go a little faster. So once again, curl side up, and you have your factory edges on the top and bottom, your cut edges on the side. Turn it into a diamond. Okay, and again, just line these up. That's what you want to do, is line up those corners as opposed to lining up the top, because you want your petal to look nice on these points here. This part doesn't really matter so much. This tip right here doesn't matter so much. Okay. All right. And then again, you're kind of like imagining in your mind, where's the center? It's right here. I'm aiming for this point right here when I do my scrunching, and I'm not counting any certain number of gathers or anything like that. I'm just scrunching it. Okay. And just quick check to see that I like the way that's going to look and that my points are nice and even. And that goes right into the zip tie. Okay. So that was on the bracket. So again, the bracket, one in between the brackets. So we're going to have a total of 10 since there's 5 sections. Okay. All right. So I have a bunch of petals pre-made. So let me get those in and keep this moving along. Hi, Lizzie. Yeah, Robin, I actually learned this. I use this style for my poinsettias at Christmas, actually. But then I thought there's really no reason for me to save this style just for Christmas. So I normally use my little clippies to hold my pre-made petals together. I tried something different. I bought these little elastic bands. I saw someone else do this. So that's what's holding them together. I honestly do not think I'm going to cut all those elastic bands off, because I think my zip tie is going to end up going right over them. It did. So I don't really see any point of removing those or anything like that. So we're just going with that. We're going to not waste time taking elastic bands off or anything like that. We're just going to leave them on there. I wanted clear ones. I ended up getting black ones, but since this mesh is dark, it doesn't really matter. So again, we're doing one on the bracket, one in between. We have a 10-inch wreath frame, and I attached the plastic canvas in the center myself. I used zip ties for that, and I just cut that from a piece of plastic canvas that you find in the embroidery section. And we did that because we need to put petals in the center, and we need something to attach our center to when we're done. So. Okay. What is this style called? I'm really bad with the names of the petals. I think that if you were to, I know a lot of, if you've ever watched Lori from Unique in the Creek, she has a lot of different names for petals, and usually they're named after whoever kind of came up with them. I really want to say this one's called the Rita petal, like R-I-T-A, but I'm not 100% sure. But all credit goes to whoever came up with this style. I have seen this style used by other wreath makers who have not called it that, so I don't think anything's official as far as the petal titles. Okay, and last one. Snagged on that. Okay, so again, I was working on bar 2, and I did one on the bracket and one in between. And I'm gonna probably play around with this when it's done just to make sure everything is laying the way I want it to. But there is my first 10 petals. And as you can see, we're working on a 10-inch wreath frame. This is a pretty big, pretty big wreath. Even starting on that second bar. Most of my wreaths end up being about 22-ish inches. Let's see. This one's going to be, I mean, if you go from tip to tip, it's about 24, but I mean, most of it's within like kind of the 22, 23 inch range. So it's a decent sized wreath. It's not going to overwhelm any space or anything like that. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Robin. Sorry if I'm missing any comments. I do look sort of behind me when I'm reading comments. I should have a better setup, but I don't have that going on yet. Okay, so next layer. What we're going to be working on next, so this is, if you've watched me before, this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be working on bar 3. Okay, so normally we skip bar 3 and go right to bar 4, but for this style, we are going to be working with bar 3. So we're going to be doing another row of 10, and we're going to be putting those petals in between where we currently have all these other petals. So that's where our 10 are, they're just going to go right in between. It's not really for fall, it's more for every day. I guess it kind of has a fallish vibe with the dark, the kind of the earth tones. I know for me, with the people that live in my neighborhood, I see a lot of neutral just year round. Some people just really don't even change out their wreath except for at Christmas. So I try to offer, something that's natural colors and things like that, just year round, because I mean, if someone has an option to put something different on their door, I always try to let people know it doesn't have to be a wreath that's screaming like, St. Patrick's Day or something like that. It could be something neutral. And a lot of people decorate with natural colors, beiges and things like that in their house. So this would actually be a nice wreath to put over a mantle or on an interior doorway, dress up a wall somewhere, something like that. So this is olive green. This is, hey Bethany, this is olive green. It's the poly burlap check mesh. So with that being said, it's 10 by 10. However, it is a little off. Reason I know that is because I'm the one that cut it. And because when I measure this, when I measure and when I cut, I like to cut in between, like directly in between these thicker these thicker strands here. I don't like to cut in between this. Sorry, I'm off camera. I don't like to cut in between the squares. Still off camera. Because then you have these weird little shreds, and I don't like that. So I always cut so I have like a couple of strands on either side here. So my piece ends up being slightly over 10 inches is what, to make a long story short. So that's where my clips are going to come in handy here. Oh, thanks, Kathy. I would love to see pictures of your Valentine's Day wreaths. I'm glad you enjoyed the kits. Okay, so I'll just show you before I fix this. So as you can see, this isn't lining up right, and this isn't lining up quite right when I bring the top together. Okay, so that's why I'm going to use the clips and make sure that my edges, my sides are lined up correctly, as opposed to worrying about the top, because that's, again, the part that I care more about. I need more room on this table. Let me get rid of my glue gun. I don't need that. Okay. Is it window pane mesh? The label says poly burlap check mesh. That's what the label says. I don't know if it's the same as window pane or not, because I've also heard of window pane, but I honestly don't know what the difference is. Okay, so I am clipping my ends here. Okay, I clip them because I want those to stay together so that I have nice clean points on my petal. Okay, so what that means is that the top here doesn't line up right. that's okay, because we're gonna scrunch this and it's not gonna matter, okay? We'll be able to easily hide the fact that this isn't lined up exactly. I want those points to look nice and even though, so that's why the clip is there and that's why I'm not gonna worry. And again, it's all because this is not cut at exactly 10 by 10, okay? But I'm gonna scrunch this down the center and then do a little check to make sure that I like the way that lines up nice and evenly there, and just pinch right there and put that into my wreath. Okay, so again, these petals are getting placed in between on the bar 3, in between the petals that we placed on bar 2. Okay, so it makes no difference that that didn't line up, that point of the triangle didn't line up, because the petal still looks fine. Okay, so I will show you that again. So the next petal is still going on bar 3 and it's going between the next 2 brown ones that I put on bar 2. So we're just kind of doing sort of a shadow box effect. Okay, so once again, you have your poly burlap. Here is my factory edges and here are my cut edges on the sides. Just you keep track of where that's at so that when you make your petals, they're all coming out uniform. Okay, so turn it to its side and then fold it into a triangle, or as close to a triangle as you can get. I'm going to line up my corners and clip them again so I get nice even points on my petal when I'm done folding. Okay, all right, so I have that, and then I'm going to just sort of imagine where's the middle and scrunch. Okay, so I've scrunched that, and then I'm just sort of bringing one up to the other and doing a quick check here to see if those petals are lined up well, which they are. I had some practice earlier. I did like a whole pile of these earlier, so I got pretty good at folding these so they come out good the first time. Okay, and so there's my, my next layer there. Okay, and I will fold one more green one, and then we'll go with all these ones that I have pre-made here to make this layer go a little faster. So we're going to end up with a total of 10 on this second row. Just like on the first row we had 10, second row is also going to be 10. So again, take your poly burlap, turn it into a diamond. I'm clipping my ends here so that they stay in place as I fold. And because my burlap is not quite 10 by 10. Okay, and then again, just scrunch up the center. And, okay, let's see here. That looks pretty good. So give it one last good pinch and right into the zip tie. Okay. And I'll mess around with all these petals when I'm done. Probably once I actually just hang it on a wreath hook, I'll adjust everything the way I want it. Okay, so these again, I already pre-folded. They're held together with those little elastic bands. I'm just going to keep those on there and just zip these all right in. Now the petals, depending how tight you pull these zip ties, they can move around a little bit on these bars. I don't find it to be that much of a problem for myself. I think, pull the zip ties tight enough that things aren't going to be moving around on their own unless you really force them. But if you were really picky about the way the petal is laying, or you just don't want those zip ties to move around at all, or the petals to move around at all once they're on attached to the wreath frame, you can always secure with a second zip tie going sort of the opposite direction, or you could use a little bit of hot glue. I don't do either one of those things, quite honestly, because I don't know, I think they're secure enough on there. I don't really feel like it's necessary, but everyone is different. Okay. So again, I'm just putting my zip tie, on bar 3, and it's going in between where the 2 brown petals are laying. So creating sort of a shadow box effect, and that's going to make sure that my wreath looks nice and full. We're gonna do 4 layers on this one. So if you've watched me before, I almost always do 3 layers, but this one's gonna be 4. And it's just because of the style of petal that we're using, and you know, just to change things up a little bit. I wanted to make sure that I was using a lot of this olive green, since it is the only sort of accent color, I guess you would say. I just wanted to make sure it really popped. I didn't want to make just an all brown and beige flower, so the green is that sort of pop of color. And another reason why I'm going to use the green twice. I'm going to use it on the inside layer as well. Because I'm using this brown jute rope center, I didn't really want a brown petal right next to the center. I didn't want brown on brown. So we're going to use green on the inside too. Okay, so that is row 2. Okay, sorry, it's a little, should probably fold it back a little bit. There we go. Okay, so the next layer is going to be the natural color, sort of the straw wheat color that we have here. I'm going to be totally honest, I think that is from either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. So if you go to one of those stores, they sell a poly burlap type material, but it's not labeled poly burlap. It is not the same quality or quantity of what you get online. So I shop mainly online. That's where these other 2 colors came from. And you get 10 yards of it. It's really like, I don't know, thicker, stiffer quality. This stuff is a little bit softer. It makes really nice petals. It's usually called, I think, soft poly mesh, I believe, if you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you only get, I think, 6 yards of it instead of the 10 yards. And it's like the same amount of money, so it's a little bit of a ripoff unless you have a coupon or it's on sale. So we're now on bar 4, okay? And we're once again, actually I put that in the wrong spot. Hold on. We are going to be working, now we're gonna be putting these petals in between where the green ones are. Yeah, the olive green poly burlap check mesh, that was online. I'm actually not sure. It's either Craft Outlet, Mel's Crafty Mojo, the Wreath shop. Those are usually the 3 places I buy online. But anyway, so bar 4, we're going to be putting this wheat straw colored natural, whatever you want to call it, petal in between where the green ones are, which is also exactly where the brown ones were. So I'm going to be on the bracket on bar 4, and that's where my first natural colored petal is going to go. Now you could, if you wanted, you can go through the plastic canvas if you want, or just go right on the bar. You have a little bit of space. You can put, squeeze that under if you wanted to, instead of going right through the plastic canvas. That's all, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I don't think you can tell on camera, but this is a lot. It's just softer and thinner than the other stuff I've been using. It actually feels pretty nice. It's nice to work with, but it just doesn't hold the shape quite as well, I find, as the stuff that you buy online. I wouldn't make a whole wreath out of this, but I think for an accent row, especially one that's going to be inside other petals, it's totally fine. So yeah, I buy the poly burlap at, mainly I get it online. So from places like the Wreath shop, Mel's Crafty Mojo, Craft Outlet is another one. Occasionally from places like Deco Exchange or Trendy Tree. Those are the big ones. There's other places too, but it's literally called poly burlap. There's no brand or anything. That's just what it is, okay? And it's called poly burlap because it's like a synthetic plastic type of burlap. And I do cut it with a wood burning tool, which kind of heat seals the edges and keeps it from fraying, okay? So I talked through what I did, but if you're just joining, I only repeat because I know people join late and they don't see what I'm doing from beginning to end. You can certainly watch the replay, but I like to just kind of, you know, reiterate what I'm doing. So I have a 10 by 10 piece of poly burlap. I folded it into a triangle. I clipped the ends here because I want my points of my petal to be nice and even. So it doesn't quite matter so much if this lines up exactly, but you want to keep those points together as you're scrunching. So I'm scrunching right up the center here towards the point. Okay, and then just bringing those two ends together. And you know, if they're not lining up exactly the way I want them to, I just kind of reposition where I'm scrunching here to make sure that my points are going to be nice and straight. And then that's going right into the zip tie. Okay. All right. So there's that. Okay. And then the next one, again, I'm going in between the two green ones, which happens to be exactly where the layer of brown ones is at. Okay, so that's where the next one's going. So again, I have my 10 by 10. I have my factory edges on the top and bottom, cut edges on the sides. Turn it into a diamond. And again, just wanting to make sure that these corners are lined up evenly. I never used to be really into the clipping. I used to just kind of go for it and hope for the best, but I've kind of gotten a little bit more picky with how my petals turn out because I don't know, I guess I'm a perfectionist and I just really want them to be perfect. So if this is the way to make them perfect, then that's, I'll just keep using the clips. It's a little extra step. And of course I pre-make my petals too. So, I mean, you could sit and watch TV and do that if you really want it. I need like a flat surface. I'm not quite that good. Can you, yeah, I will post in the comments somewhere, I guess in the comments. Yeah. When we get off here, I'll post the names of the places that I shop at online. I think that's in some of my previous videos too, because I get asked a lot. I do not have affiliate links or anything like that, so you can just peruse them on your own and do whatever shopping you would like. I do not get monetized for having affiliate links. Okay, so that's that one. Did I forget to, oh, I forgot to put my zip tie in. Well, no harm done. Just clip that. So this one's going on the bracket again. So we're going to have 10 on this third row here. We're on the third row, but we're on the fourth bar of the frame. Okay. And zip that right in there. Okay. I didn't make quite as many of these natural colored ones ahead of time because I was supposed to be working like my real job and I got really distracted because I was in my head while doing my 9 to 5 thinking about what project I wanted to do tonight. And then that leads me to wander down the hall into my craft room and start planning and organizing. And then I start folding and then I'm like, oh, wait a second, I'm supposed to be working. So I had to stop. Okay. Scrunch down the middle here. And I will say though, this wheat color, natural, whatever it is, again, I'm not sure if it was from Michaels or Hobby Lobby. It's usually labeled soft poly mesh, I believe. I will say, they have a really nice, there are some really nice ones, colors that are a little bit different than what you can get online. Oh, there's a lot of similar ones, for sure, but they actually, I think have a, the yellow, that you can find there. I think it's the Hobby Lobby yellow, not the Michaels yellow. The Hobby Lobby yellow is really nice and bright, like lemony colored yellow, as opposed to the sunflower colored yellow. So the stuff that I used to make my sunflower wreaths is definitely more of a, I'm not sure what you want to call it. It's not orange for sure. It's definitely yellow, but it's just, not as bright, like, I don't know. There's a difference between the two yellows. So I actually do kind of like to have that yellow from Hobby Lobby on hand in case I want something that's like true yellow. I do not have a video of the flag wreath. Perhaps at some point I will record myself making one. I do sell those. Basically, I think I sold 2 in the last 2 weeks. I sell those pretty regularly. I will tell you that is not my own design. I did find that through another wreath maker. I've done some adapting to it to make it my sort of my own style. I do the center a little bit differently. I think I do the petal layout a little bit differently, but that is not really a unique design, I guess we would say. Yes, golden yellow. Yes, that is the word I could not find. It's definitely a nice, like, the stuff you get online is a nice sunflower yellow for sure. But if you're looking for something really sort of lemony, bright yellow, then the Hobby Lobby stuff I think is a little closer to that color yellow. I don't know if I lost any petals over the edge. I guess we'll find out. Yep, golden yellow. That sounds right. Okay, so I already pre-made some of these. Not as many as I'd hoped, but I already explained I was supposed to be working, and before I knew it, I was folding petals, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working. So for those of you that don't know me, yeah, I'm not, I still, this is not my full-time job. I work full-time, and, all the normal things, take care of the house and all that good stuff. This is still just a hobby. I used to be a teacher. I used to teach high school math, so maybe a little bit of my instructional skills come from that. This is definitely a lot more fun than teaching high school math, I will tell you that. Yes, so the main part of my business is still selling the wreaths that I make. So I definitely have a lot of people that watch for learning purposes. I've gotten into doing the wreath kits, which is all fine. I enjoy that part of it. Why do I have an extra? I must have miscounted somewhere. But, honestly, like, I'm happy to put out this type of content because everything I've learned from somebody else, and I've learned most of that for free. So I don't get monetized by Facebook for anything that I do, or YouTube, or any of the other platforms. This is all free, completely free content that I'm putting out of the goodness of my heart, I guess. But I still really, enjoy making the wreaths myself and, selling them and getting them, seeing them on people's front doors. The whole tutorial and wreath kit aspect of it that I've gotten into recently, I'm still sort of playing around with how that's going. I will tell you, you definitely make more profit, at least for me right now, on completed wreaths as opposed to wreath kits. And that's just the way it is. But maybe at some point, if I get a whole ton of views on YouTube, or Facebook finally decides to monetize me or whatever, we'll see. But for right now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I know I've probably missed some comments because I've seen a couple go by, and oh yes. Yep. Thanks, Kathy. I stopped teaching a couple of years ago. When my husband's in the military, we move all the time, and you would think that teaching is a portable career, but I kind of got sick of getting a teaching license every state we moved to. And math was never really my passion, quite honestly. So, but you certainly learn how to break things down step by step teaching math. I'll tell you that. Okay, so we have our 10. Let me make sure there's 10 because I don't know why there's an extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I must have just miscounted when I miscounted somewhere along the way. Okay, so we're going to do one more row, and I think we're going to do 10. Um, so what I want to make sure I'm doing is just wherever I place these petals, I want to make sure that this center is going to cover all of my little nubbies and all my work. So I just need to go in just like about an inch or so on this. I could what I should have done was maybe like trace this onto the plastic canvas so I knew what the outline of this was going to be, but that's okay. I've done this enough times so I can eyeball it. And where we're going to put this last set of green is we're going to go in between all of the beige ones. And it's going to go, actually it's going to line up with where the green ones already are. Oh, I'm sorry. How many rolls of each does it take? So when you get a full roll of poly burlap, it's 10 yards. And if I'm cutting this into 10-inch pieces, so you should ideally get 36 pieces out of a 10-yard roll. You usually end up being a tad bit short. So I always estimate like, I usually estimate I'm going to get like 32 pieces. So let's see here. Wait a second. Okay. We are going to get a little bit cramped in the middle here, but that's okay. So I'm using a total of 40 petals. So I'm using 3 different colors. Okay. But so 40 petals is technically more than one roll. Okay. And so with that being said, you would need the three rolls to make this, but you're going to have extra. So we're using a total of 20 of these green petals. So that's not quite one full roll. And then kind of lost where my green is at. I gotta, so yeah, 20 green, we use 10 brown and 10 of the natural color. So you would end up with, for example, the brown, I still have probably 20 pieces-ish, 20, maybe a dozen pieces of the brown left. Oh, there goes, dropped a piece. And I have, since this natural color was a 6-yard roll, I think I got like 5 pieces of that left. So that is why, you know, I kind of encourage people, if they're not thinking they're going to make like a ton of wreaths, that, it's beneficial to buy a kit when I have kits available, because you can get the different colors, but not all the extra, because this stuff is not really, it's not cheap. The stuff you buy online, averages anywhere from $10 to $13 per roll, plus, tax and shipping and all that stuff. So, you could easily spend, $40 buying 4 rolls. So that's, when you buy the kit, you're getting exactly what you need. You're not going to have extra, and it saves you some money. And obviously I cut it and all that good stuff for you. So I put this one in backwards. So yeah, so it saves you money in the long run. You don't have the extra supplies. I mean, with me, I don't mind having extra because I know I'll find something else to do with it. But so to answer, again, long-winded answer to an easy question, this is more than one full roll altogether. Like if you were going to make this flower with just one color, you would need more than one roll. Yeah, you used to be able to find this solid color mesh for in the vicinity of like $8, and then I would notice that they would, like, depending what season it was, like in the spring, the yellow would go up to like $9.50 or $10, and then Christmas, the red would go up in price, and now it just seems like it's always over $10. So the center is plastic canvas. You find that in the embroidery section. It comes in usually a rectangular sheet, and you just trace the center of your wreath frame, cut it out, and attach it with zip ties. I did that because at this point right now, I am attaching petals to that inside part to make my wreath nice and full, and I also am going to be attaching my center. This is made out of jute rope from the Dollar Tree. Natural rope jute. And I had this much of my 8 feet left over. My cutting tool is in the garage. I cut out there because of the fumes. So, you know, poly burlap is it's like a plastic type of material. So you want to be in a well ventilated area. So I do that outside. So I don't actually ever bring it in. It's on my husband's workbench. But if you just go on Amazon and type in wood burning tool for beginners, something like that, you will see some options come up. I believe the brand I use is called Walnut. I want to say Walnut Creek, but I don't think that's right. Walnut Hollow, something like that. Yeah. It was it's like $15. It has an on-off switch, it's electric, and I just use the one kind of tip. I just plug it in, it heats up, and I do that outside because, again, you should be in a well-ventilated area, you should be using a mask. I just choose to do it outside so I make sure the garage door is open. I also have a parrot. I like to stay away from him with any kind of fumes. Now, I think this is only number 9, and I'm kind of running out of room here. I don't really know that I need the 10th one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I can make the 10th one fit. I did drop it, so let me go grab it. Okay. So, alrighty. Let me see here. Okay. So, got room for my one more here. Just making a nice full. What do you use to line the centerpiece with? This piece of white plastic. It's called plastic canvas. You find it in the embroidery section near the embroidery floss and the yarn, and I attached it with zip ties. And the foam ball, I know I saw that question, is I believe it's a 4-inch, and I cut it in half. I lost the other part of my zip tie. There we go. Okay. Now, you could probably get away with less than 10 on the inside here. I'm already pretty full. I don't really need this one, but I already made it, so it's going to go in. And being a math person, I like nice even numbers. So 10, 10, 4 rows of 10. The kits, I don't have any available right at the moment, but I am going to be having St. Patrick's Day kits available. I'm hoping this weekend. I need to record the tutorial and get all the supplies. I have them all. They just need to be, cut and counted out so I know exactly how much I have. And then I'll be posting those in my Etsy shop. You can, of course, always follow my Facebook page because I usually announce on there when things are available, especially because I know people have been looking for kits since the Valentine's Day one sold out. Everyone's kind of waiting on the next round. Okay. And yeah, all the kits come with a YouTube tutorial. It's not a Facebook Live that I put on YouTube. I have to say, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is people that, I do put some of my lives on YouTube, but when it's a tutorial, I don't want comments. I don't want any extraneous, chitter chatter. I know, watching a live. I do appreciate people who will sit here and listen to me, sort of ramble. I am 100% an introvert. I'm not a good small talker, so all of this is 100% outside of my comfort zone. Making the tutorials is actually, somewhat calming to me because I don't have to worry about, not that I don't enjoy responding to comments and things like that, but it's just much more straightforward. I'm just instructing. And when I watch a tutorial, that's all I want. So that's what I do for my tutorials. I record the video, I put them on YouTube. They're completely separate. It's not like I took a Facebook Live and put it on YouTube is what I'm saying. Okay, so here, oh my goodness, here's what we have. So we have the brown on the outside, a layer of the green, the olive green, the natural, and then got real full in the middle here, but you know what? Who doesn't love a nice full flower? I probably could have gotten away with maybe 5 on the inside. Maybe maybe 7 or 8, but I used all 10. So total of 40 petals, okay? Again, if you were gonna do this wreath at home and you were gonna use just one color, you could get away, you'd need 2 rolls of mesh for sure. Obviously I used 3 different colors, so 3 different rolls of mesh, okay? So here's my center. Again, it's a 4-inch styrofoam ball that I sawed in half. I start right here. All I did was kind of carve out a little hole and then put a whole bunch of hot glue and a floral pin and started with the end of my rope and then just wound it around, adding more glue along the way until I got to the end, secured with another floral pin and added a whole bunch more glue. And then I put in a pipe cleaner with a floral pin and glue, and I'm gonna put that right in the center. So if you watched me before, I generally don't do anything that involves hot glue on camera because I burn myself quite a bit and we don't want to hear any swearing. So, and plus, if I was going to do that, I would probably just do a video and not like a video tutorial and not actually as part of a live. I think it just takes too long, quite honestly. The winding and the gluing and all that stuff. I would maybe do that as like an entire separate video and just have people refer to that if they really wanted to see how it's done. There's lots of other great resources that show all different kinds of flower centers. So I will snip this off eventually. I'm just going to leave that there to make sure that when I get this hung up in position that I like where this is at and all that good stuff. But there is my wreath. Okay. I know I missed a question about if it was heavy. It's heavier than a mesh wreath, like a deco mesh wreath with the ribbons. But it's, you know, the nice thing, it's fairly flat. It will fit between 2 doors. Honestly, the more layers you add, the heavier it gets, but it's still, I mean, if you hung a grapevine wreath, I think it's lighter than a grapevine. You know, the twig wreaths with like all the flowers and glue, those get pretty heavy. This is, I think, still lighter than that. Okay. So that is today's project. I will get pictures of this and do some final rearranging of my petals once I get it hanging to see if I like where they're all at. But I think it's looking pretty good. So thank you everyone for joining me. If you are interested in kits, check back. I'm gonna say Saturday is my goal, is to be able to list the St. Patrick's Day wreath kits and have the tutorial recorded. Again, in the kits you get everything you need to make the wreath, a link to a YouTube tutorial. What I would really love to do with these with the St. Patrick's Day ones and all the wreath kits moving forward is to have sort of a traditional style that you can do and then give a couple of options of different petals that you can do given the exact same materials. So I have to kind of think about that, how that's going to work and how I'm going to record and show that as well. But the goal is to have one kit that you can make, say, 2 or 3 different flower styles with that same material. That's my goal. So we'll see how that goes. My husband's working this weekend, so I'll have time to think about all that. But anyways, yes, check back if you're interested in completed wreaths. You're not looking at the DIY. I have plenty in my shop. Just go to my Facebook page and click on the shop on website button. It'll take you right to Etsy. I still have some Valentine's Day wreaths available, completed ones, not kits. I have Mardi Gras, I have winter, I have every day, and there's a few spring starting to trickle into the shop. But that is all for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, and have a great night, everyone. Thank you. Bye.